listen, NFL, y'all need to come into the room, okay? Y'all need to come here and be present for this conversation because y'all really exposed yourselves for this 2025 NFL draft. All because of what happened with Shedeur Sanders this NFL draft. And we just got to get into it because I'm going to tell you guys a few, because it's a layered conversation, but I'm going to tell you guys why I feel like Shedeur Sanders really slid that low. Like, what was really tea? What was really the juice that was going on as to why he went all the way to round 5? Let's get into it. So here's what I think about the whole entire situation. Let me just give my thoughts real quick, because this has been on my mind literally all weekend long. The NFL was extremely foul for how they tried to play Shedeur Sanders, how they tried to play Deion Sanders, and just the entire Sanders family. And I honestly feel like we all deserve an explanation as to why they chose to be in cahoots like that and come together to humiliate this young man. I truly feel like they have to let us know exactly why all 32 teams decided to pass on this young man all the way up until the 5th round when he was like a top 20, top 5 player, especially a top quarterback in the draft this year. You have to explain why you did that. And I truly feel like the NFL and, as a community, we have all had our issues with the NFL and like how we feel about how they did Colin Kaepernick, which people were referencing him when they were talking about the Shedeur Sanders situation as well. And just in general, how the NFL is. But they have completely, I think, lost credibility when it comes to how they choose to scout their talent and how they choose to even allow somebody to join the NFL. And I think people coming into it now are going to be looking at the NFL sideways because it's like, okay, is this even about talent anymore? Because it sounds like and it looks like it's a lot deeper than just the talent that you have and the love that you have for the game as a player. And I hope that people coming into it moving forward won't try to dim their own light because they decided to let Shedeur Sanders be an example for whatever message that they were trying to get across, which I still to this day don't know what the message is. That's why they need to fess up and come out and say exactly what went down. Like, we all deserve an explanation, especially Shedeur Sanders and the entire Sanders family. Shedeur didn't do or say anything that will warrant for him to drop all the way down to round 5. I get maybe round 2. Okay, round 2. But round 5 is crazy. It's insane. And it's not fair. It is unfair. And that's what people keep saying as well, is it's just not fair at all. And it could have been a personal attack on Deion. It could have been a personal attack on the fact that they don't like how he walks, how he talks, the swagger that they have. I know Stephen A. Smith kept saying bravado or whatever, but it seems like they don't like what that family, especially Deion, represents, and Shedeur as well, because he get it from his daddy. What can we say? He had a top black athlete with a whole lot of swag, a whole lot of mouthpiece, teaching him how to be the best. And he is just showing that he is the best. Now, I do want to say that I don't think that Shedeur was 100% right. And I know that's kind of a hot take, y'all. I know it is a hot take. But after seeing the clip of what he actually did say in the interview, and he's like, hey, if y'all don't want to change the league, and if y'all don't want to change your franchise, then don't even think about drafting me. Like, he talking real big. I can see how that can be a little bit off-putting to some bigwigs. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can see how they could have used those words against him and used that confidence against him and used that arrogance against him. But I'm not gonna say it was 100% Shedeur's fault, because I don't think it was, but it could have played a role. And it kind of led me to the thought and conversation of, when you are put in these positions and you do have a whole lot of confidence, because to me, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of confidence, right? Like, you have to believe in yourself. And that is definitely something that Shedeur and his family has, right? But when you are in these situations and you're great, like, you are one of the best to ever do it in that room, and just in general, do you feel like you should kind of come across a little bit more humble, quote unquote, and more down to earth versus acting as if yo ish don't stink, you know? Like, especially when you are black and you are in certain situations and you're in certain spaces, I definitely do think it's unfortunate that we have to be more mindful as black people when we are trying to succeed, because at the end of the day, none of these rules were made for us. Okay, like none of these plays, none of this, anything that's going on was meant for us and meant to be protective of us and meant to help us and get us further to where we want to go. We're playing their games. But I also want to have the conversation that I was seeing people say in the comments when all of this was going down before he actually got drafted to the Cleveland Browns as the 144th pick in round 5 of the draft. Crazy. But people were saying that the organization was trying to humble him, and they hate a confident man, they hate a confident black woman, and et cetera, et cetera. While I don't disagree with those statements and with those comments, I do want to unpack this idea that being a humble person is a negative or a bad thing. That's something that I don't agree with at all. I understand that this situation is a little bit more jaded than usual when it comes to humbling, but it was too many people in the comments for me talking about, oh yeah, they want a humble person, they want you to be humble out here and not have confidence in yourself. And I definitely think that there's a difference between being confident and being cocky and being arrogant. Like you can definitely be confident and still be humble. I would say, and not to compare the two, but I would say Travis Hunter seems like a very humble young man, but also extremely confident and comfortable and aware of his skill set. But this idea that being a humble person doesn't get you far, or being a humble person is bad, I didn't like that. I didn't like that we were kind of saying that we wanted him to be a little bit more humble, because I'm not going to lie to you, your talent will only take you so far in certain rooms and in certain spaces, especially the ones that you don't own. So to me, being humble means that you're just respectful. There's nothing bad about being respectful. There's nothing bad about being down to earth. There's nothing bad about not being self-centered. There's nothing bad about that. Now, I understand the situation is a little different because we're talking about how the league was doing a specific person based off of how they were acting. But just the idea of being humble in general, we shouldn't shy away from that. We should always intend to be humble. Like, I remember Chadwick Boseman. He seemed like he was a humble person, but still a very confident individual. So I don't want our community to get, or anybody for that matter, to get the two confused, because being humble is not bad. But y'all let me know down in the comments below if you feel like being humble, not being humbled, but being humble is a bad thing. Because when it comes to this NFL situation with Shedeur, yes, they were trying to humble him, and that to me was not warranted, and especially not for what he did. I mean, he's not some bad guy out here with like on drugs, drinking all the time, got allegations and assault cases on him and things like that, which they have that in the NFL and allow those people to play without any type of repercussions, right? But just the idea of being humble in general to me is not necessarily a bad thing. So I don't want us to start feeling like being confident, being cocky, and being arrogant is the goal all the time, because it's not. You still want to be a humble individual. But overall, I am honestly really proud of, and I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders with the Cleveland Browns this season, or this upcoming season. I know they have 5 QBs right now, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work and how he'll, try to move his way up to the top to being a starter. But I feel like he will be able to do it. I think he definitely has a battery on his back. I think he has a lot of things to prove now, and he's gonna show them. He's definitely gonna show them. And I also want to just shout out to Deion Sanders, because he raised a lovely family as a black athlete, as a top black performer in the country, And real quick, I do want to just bring up the fact that on the second day of the draft, Shedeur Sanders received a prank phone call from a college student who got his number, which is crazy how they even got his number, because the phone that they used wasn't even a phone number that Shedeur has used before. It was a phone line that was specifically given out to NFL executives for the draft specifically. So I think it has come out now who exactly did that, but that still was embarrassing and humiliating to me as well. And people really do hate that man and hate that family for them to want to prank call him on what is probably one of the most embarrassing times. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And I really felt for him when I originally saw that. I did not like seeing that at all. But overall, it's an interesting conversation to have. I'm definitely going to have it on my radio show as well, Jamming with You, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. weekdays on 101.7 The Truth. But I just wanted to know your thoughts. Like, why do you guys think that the NFL even decided to do this? Do you think that they were trying to set an example for future people coming in to remind them, like, hey, y'all don't run nothing. Deion, you don't run anything. Nobody is above the NFL. Do you feel like they really were just upset with the arrogant attitude of Shedeur during the interviews and being part of the combine? Do you feel like Shedeur Sanders had more of a role to play in why he slid down so far in the draft than what other people are owning up to? Do you feel like people have to tone it down a bit just to get ahead? You know, if you are somebody who got it going on, okay, you know exactly who you are. Do you walk into rooms like that no matter where you are? You know, do you think it's a problem to be a humble individual, or do you feel like it's better to kind of be a little bit more arrogant because it just shows that you know who you are? It's so many layers to this. Or do you just feel like the NFL is just a racist organization and they need to do better? I don't know which one I'm leaning towards, honestly. But yeah, you guys, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the entire conversation about Shedeur Sanders and the NFL. And what they did was just some BS. But other than that, you guys, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in my next video. It's your girl, Noni Juice, always keeping it juicy. And we out.